When life hits hard, most people crumble, but a few, they rise. What do they know that others don't? It's not luck, it's not fake optimism, it's a mindset, a discipline of perspective. Staying positive isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's about seeing the storm and choosing to build anyway, because positivity, when forged in pain, becomes power. It's how you bend without breaking, how you rise while others retreat. The question is, when life tests you, will you surrender or stay lit from within? In a few moments, I'll teach you how to stay strong and think positive even when life feels really hard. Your mind is the battlefield. There are days when the world seems to close in on you, when the sky turns gray, the wind howls with problems, and you feel buried under the weight of worry. But let me ask you, where does the storm truly rage? Outside or inside your own thinking? Life doesn't crush you with what it gives. It crushes you with how you interpret what it gives. And so the battle is not out there. It begins and ends in the mind. You must understand that every setback, every failure, every moment of pain is not the enemy. The real adversary is the thought that says, this is the end. But what if you trained your mind to answer back, this is the beginning? Imagine this. You walk through a hallway in complete darkness. Most people stop. They panic. But you stretch your hand, feel the wall, take one small step forward. That's belief. That's power. You might ask, but what if I fail again? What if it hurts more? Then you get up again. You build a habit of resilience, not once, not twice, but daily. Like a blacksmith shapes iron, the fire, the hammer, the rhythm of repetition. Shape your mind in the same way. You control your thoughts, or they control you. So ask yourself, are you nurturing courage or feeding doubt? When the mind is governed by fear, every challenge looks like a monster. But when governed by faith, every challenge is just another wall to climb. You decide whether today becomes a tombstone or a turning point. The choice is not in what happens. The choice is in how you think about what happens. Purpose pulls you through pain. Pain becomes unbearable only when it's meaningless. But the moment you attach your pain to a purpose, it transforms into fuel. You are not made to endure blindly. You are made to endure forward. Think of a man digging a tunnel with his bare hands. He bleeds, he bruises, but he knows that on the other side there is light, freedom, something worth fighting for. It is not the hardship that breaks him. It is forgetting what he is digging toward. So I ask you, what are you digging toward? When life strikes, your first instinct may be to ask, why me? But shift that to, for what? For what lesson? For what preparation? For what future calling? Think of every struggle as a sacred training ground, not punishment, preparation. Imagine yourself trudging through the rain, soaked and cold, but in your hand is a letter you must deliver, a message the world desperately needs. Would you stop or would you press on? Purpose makes the pain worth it, and every moment you feel like quitting, remember, there's someone waiting on the other side of your perseverance. Maybe it's your future self. Maybe it's your child. Maybe it's someone watching your example. Don't allow temporary discomfort to rob you of eternal reward. The man with a mission walks taller, even through the storm. So what is your mission? Name it and let it pull you forward. You become what you expect. A person who expects to lose, loses long before the battle begins. Expectation is not just a silent thought. It is a force, a magnet, a builder or a breaker. You do not get what you want. You get what you expect. Walk through life expecting failure, and your feet will drag, your eyes will drop, and your voice will tremble. But walk through life expecting greatness, and something powerful begins to shift inside you. Shoulders rise, eyes sharpen, action intensifies. Not because the world changed, but because your inner world took command. Now ask yourself, what are your dominant expectations? Are you waking up expecting opportunity or disaster? Are you preparing for growth or retreat? Imagine two farmers. One prepares his soil, sharpens his tools, and plants with care. The other watches the sky and says, it might not rain. Which one will reap the harvest? You must discipline your mind to expect victory, not wish for it, expect it. That does not mean blind arrogance. It means trained confidence. It means saying, I will win because I must win. I will grow because I refuse to remain small. So look around your life, your relationships, your health, your finances? What are your expectations building right now? And more importantly, are you brave enough to raise them? Resilience is a daily decision. You don't become resilient by reading about it. You become resilient by living it, not once, not twice, but every single day. Resilience is not a moment of strength. It is a daily decision to show up, to continue, to rebuild. There will be moments when the door slams in your face, when the ones you trusted most walk away without explanation, when the plans you nurtured with all your energy collapse like paper in the rain. And in that moment, you will face a decision. Will I retreat or will I rebuild? That choice is the seed of resilience. Not your muscles, not your medals, not your degrees or accolades. Resilience is forged not in moments of applause, but in moments of silence, when no one sees, when no one claps, when only you know what it costs to rise. Picture a craftsman, chisel in hand, whose masterpiece breaks halfway through. The grain splits, the hours of carving wasted. But does he curse the wood? No. Does he throw the tools aside? No. He starts again, with patience, with precision, with purpose. Why? Because the vision is stronger than the setback. And what about you? Maybe you've faced dreams that shattered at the peak. Maybe someone you loved turned their back. Maybe the career you built was taken away in an instant. But the truth remains, you can start again. Not weaker, not bitter, but wiser. You are not broken, you are built. Built by every fall you endured, every tear you wiped, every no you turned into a louder yes. Resilience isn't the absence of pain. It is the refusal to be defined by it. So I ask you today, what would happen if you decided to be unbreakable? What would change if, instead of fearing another fall, you prepared to rise stronger from it? The world doesn't need more perfection. It doesn't need more applause chasers. It needs more people like you who know how to lose and still lead, who know how to grieve and still build. Every morning you choose to rise again, you are writing a story worth reading. And that story, it's not about what stopped you. It's about what refused to keep you down. Your resilience is your quiet, defiant anthem, not of what you endured, but of who you became. So decide now, will you retreat or will you rebuild? Because the truth is, you were never meant to stay down. You were meant to rise. Faith in yourself is the first wealth. Before any man builds a fortune, he must first build belief. Long before gold fills his coffers or success crowns his name, there is a whisper inside him that dares to say, I can. This whisper is not born in wealth nor taught in schools. It is discovered in silence, the silence of a man daring to face himself. Faith in yourself is not vanity. It is responsibility, because if you doubt your worth, you will doubt your work. And if you cannot trust your step, you will never take the first one. You cannot lead a team, inspire a family, or build a legacy if you have not first accepted that your voice matters. Your mind is valuable, and your actions carry weight. Consider the captain of a vessel steering into uncharted waters. The stars may guide him, but the crew follows his confidence. If he trembles at every gust of wind, the ship will sway. If he questions his course, the voyage will stall. But if his hands are steady and his voice firm, even the storm begins to listen. You are that captain, and your belief must anchor you deeper than any fear. Now, picture yourself standing before a door. On the other side, opportunity, destiny, your true call. But above the frame, a sign reads, only those who believe may enter. This is not metaphor, this is reality. Most people hesitate. They wait for proof before they act. They wait for applause before they speak. But you must choose to walk in. To knock, not because you're certain of the answer, but because you're certain of your ability to handle whatever comes. Ask yourself with urgency, what would change if you fully trusted yourself? What dreams would you chase? What risks would you stop avoiding? What excuses would you bury for good? Belief is not a luxury. It is the root of all progress. It is the first stone in every strong foundation. Every empire, invention, and idea began with someone who decided they were worth the effort. And if today you don't yet believe, then act like someone who does. Carry yourself with conviction. Speak with strength. Move with purpose. Because the mind follows the body's courage. Action precedes belief, and belief precedes every victory worth earning. No one hands you permission to believe in yourself. You must claim it, and once you do, the world begins to respond, not because it changed, but because you did. So stand tall, walk forward, and remind yourself, before you build the dream, build the belief. Because the man who says, "I can," changes everything, starting with himself. Discipline builds inner light. When darkness surrounds you, it's not more light from the outside you need. It's a fire within. And that fire is called discipline. Not the harsh, punishing kind, but the steady, self-directed force that whispers again and again, "No matter what happens, I will keep going." Discipline does not arrive with a trumpet. It does not knock on your door with applause. It begins in silence, in small choices, waking up when you said you would, finishing the work you promised yourself, choosing honesty when lying would be easier, listening when you'd rather speak. Every time you say yes to what builds you and no to what breaks you, you feed the flame that lights your way. You build your inner lantern. Picture yourself climbing a mountain alone. The weather is brutal. The sky grows darker. You see no sign of the peak. Your muscles ache. The air thins. But you take one step, then another. Not because the path is easy, but because there is a voice within that says, "This is who I am." That voice wasn't born overnight. It was built, brick by brick, through acts of discipline. Not in grand moments, but in the quiet ones. When no one else was watching, when quitting seemed easier, when comfort whispered its tempting song, you didn't listen. You chose the harder right over the easier wrong. Ask yourself now, have you been waiting for the right mood to start your change? Have you been hoping that motivation will strike like lightning? Or are you training yourself to move regardless of the weather in your soul? The ones who master their fate do not rely on emotion, they rely on practice. They train consistency like a soldier trains strength, daily, repeatedly, faithfully. Discipline does not shout. It does not beg for attention. It whispers. And if you are quiet enough to hear it and humble enough to obey it, it will lead you to a place few ever reach. A place where peace is not earned through ease, but through effort. Where your joy is not shaken by circumstances because it was not built on comfort. Storms will come. That is not a question. Pain will test you. Doubt will knock. Fatigue will whisper, "Just rest a little longer." But if your foundation is made of daily discipline, no storm can carry you away. Your anchor will hold. Your steps will steady. Your purpose will burn bright. Discipline is not a burden. It is a gift, a path, a promise you keep to yourself. And every day you keep it, your flame grows stronger. So when the world grows dark and the way forward seems unclear, do not search for rescue. Build the fire, light your lantern, and walk on. Because in the end, the strongest light comes not from the sky, but from within. Gratitude is the gateway to power. You cannot be both bitter and blessed at the same time. One clenches your fists, the other opens your hands. One closes your eyes, the other opens your spirit. Bitterness builds walls, gratitude builds bridges. One isolates, the other connects. If you want to rise, you must choose. Will you dwell on what's missing or awaken to what remains? Gratitude is not a soft virtue. It is a force, a discipline, a weapon in the war against despair. While others see it as sentiment, you must learn to see it as strategy. Gratitude is the key that unlocks strength, courage, and clear vision. It changes your chemistry, your countenance, your course. You may think, what do I have to be thankful for when everything's falling apart? But that's precisely the test. Gratitude doesn't begin when the storm ends. It begins inside the storm. It does not wait for comfort. It creates clarity. Can you see the gift in the grit, the lesson in the loss, the seed in the storm? Gratitude is not found. It is forged. It is hammered out in the fire of disappointment, in the heat of heartbreak, in the ache of unmet expectations. It does not arrive fully formed. It is built through choice again and again. Imagine this. You lose a job. The routine is gone. The paycheck vanished. But in that sudden stillness, you find time to reconsider your path, to question what you've been chasing. You begin to see not just what was taken, but what could be built. Or a relationship ends, the silence feels suffocating. But in that quiet, your voice grows louder. You hear yourself again. You reconnect with the version of you that had been buried beneath compromise, or maybe a plan fails. It shatters into pieces, and in the rubble you find stronger materials to rebuild. Not the same plan, but a better one, aligned with a clearer vision. Every trial carries a treasure, if you dare to look. Every setback hides a seed. The question is, will you search for it? Ask yourself honestly, what am I ignoring that I could be appreciating? Is it your breath? Your ability to think clearly? The fact that you are still here, able to try again? Gratitude begins with the ordinary, the overlooked, the assumed. The morning sun on your face, the taste of water when you're parched, the friend who checks in, the strength you didn't know you had until you had to use it. It does not require a perfect life. It asks only for an open heart. Gratitude is not the end result of getting everything you want. It is the starting fuel for getting through everything you must. It flips your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from not enough to more than I knew. You were never promised ease. That was never the deal. But you were given a mind that can reframe any reality. You were given the power to choose where you focus, what you magnify, and what you build upon. Use it. Don't let bitterness blind you. Open your eyes. Start each day not with a complaint, but with a question. What strength can I find today through thankfulness? The person who asks that question becomes invincible, because while pain is inevitable, despair is optional. While circumstances can shake you, they cannot shatter the spirit of someone grounded in gratitude. You become a lighthouse, steady, bright, immovable. Gratitude is a posture, a habit, a rebellion against the darkness. And the more you practice it, the more resilient you become. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. So today, choose to see what remains. Choose to honor the hidden blessings. Choose to speak thanks into the silence. Because every time you do, you trade bitterness for boldness. You trade sorrow for strength. You trade fear for faith. And in that sacred exchange, you find not just peace, you find power. Your circle shapes your strength. Show me your closest companions, and I will show you your future. Who you walk with determines how far you rise. The direction of your life is often found in the footsteps of your company. Walk with giants and you will rise. Sit with doubters and your dream will shrink to fit their fears. Energy is contagious, not just in moments of celebration, but in the quiet spaces where habits are shaped. Surround yourself with people who complain, who excuse, who delay, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, your fire begins to flicker. Your standards lower. Your dreams grow dull. You begin to accept what once felt unacceptable. It happens not in one decision, but in 1,000 tiny compromises. But when you surround yourself with those who challenge you, who live with purpose, who stretch your thinking, who won't let you settle, you begin to change. Not because they force you, but because their very presence reminds you of who you can become. Their discipline awakens yours. Their clarity sharpens yours. Their courage stirs yours. You rise by reflection. You grow by proximity. Imagine you're rowing across a wide river. Alone you tire. The current wears you down. Every stroke feels heavier than the last. But now imagine others rowing beside you, matching your rhythm, speaking life when doubt creeps in. You move forward not only faster, but with joy. That is the power of aligned fellowship. Not just company, but comrades. Not just presence, but partnership. Ask yourself, who do you confide in when the weight grows heavy? Who listens not just to respond, but to understand? Who sharpens your ideas, challenges your fears, pushes you to go further than your excuses? If you're the smartest, the most disciplined, the most driven person in the room, not because you don't belong, but because you are meant to grow. And growth demands friction. Friction demands people who are unafraid to see more in you than you sometimes see in yourself. This is not about status, not about prestige. It's about alignment. Alignment with people who honor your calling, who refuse to let you drift, who remind you, gently or boldly, that you are built for more, that mediocrity is not your home. True allies don't flatter you, they refine you. They don't cheer for your mask, they champion your potential. They don't just sit through your storms, they help you build shelter within them. And when you fall, they do not judge the stumble, they extend a hand and a higher standard. If you are serious about staying strong through the storms of life, audit your circle. Evaluate not just who is around you, but what they are pulling out of you. Are they reinforcing your weakness or calling forth your strength? Are they feeding your fears or strengthening your faith? Then, reinforce your circle. Build with intention. Choose allies of ambition, faith, and action. People who pray with you and plan with you, who celebrate your wins and challenge your complacency, who understand that loyalty is not agreement but alignment with your highest good. Yes, the lone wolf may survive, but survival is not the goal. The thriving person, they thrive in a pack of purpose, in a tribe of transformation, in a circle that reflects not just where they are, but where they are going. So choose your company like your future depends on it, because it does. Walk with those who speak life, who live truth, who carry vision. And soon you will look back and realize you didn't just go further, you became better. Together, action cures fear. Fear is not destroyed by thinking, it is destroyed by doing. You cannot outthink fear. You cannot reason it into silence. The longer you sit with it, the louder it becomes. It grows in the shadows of delay, magnifying every worst-case scenario, whispering what-ifs until you're paralyzed. But the moment you act, fear begins to lose its grip. Like fog under the morning sun, it fades in the presence of motion. You may say, "But I'm not ready." Let me remind you of something essential. No one ever feels fully ready. Readiness is a myth. Action is the truth. You don't wait until you're fearless to move. You move, and that is how you train courage. Every brave soul you admire began not with certainty, but with a shaky step. Picture a person standing before a great wall. It looms, cold and towering, a monument to everything they think they cannot do. The wall mocks them. It lists their failures. It repeats their doubts. And so they stand, frozen. But the moment they reach up, find a crack and lift their foot, something shifts. The wall doesn't shrink, but the climber grows. Each handhold taken, each foothold earned, changes the balance. Why? Because action makes you bigger. Fear wants you to forget that. What are you hesitating on? A decision that could change your life? A conversation you've been avoiding? A dream you've buried under someday? Fear loves hesitation. It feeds on delay. It thrives in the gap between knowing and doing. But you can break its back with one bold step. Do not wait for the feeling of confidence. It rarely shows up on its own. Confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a result. You create confidence through motion. You build belief by beginning. Write the letter. Take the walk. Launch the idea. Let your body lead your belief. Action is not just a reaction to life. It is how you shape life. You are not a passenger on the road to your purpose. You are the one steering. And the wheel only responds when you move. In the war between fear and your future, motion is your sword. It cuts through doubt. It slices through hesitation. And the best part, that sword is always within reach. Every time you choose to act, no matter how small the step, you change your brain, you shift the narrative from "I can't" to "I'm trying." And then from "I'm trying" to "I'm doing." Fear will still whisper, that's its nature, but you don't have to listen. You respond not with argument, but with action. So ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that fear doesn't want me to do? Then do it, not tomorrow, now. Because the longer you wait, the stronger fear becomes. But the moment you move, fear weakens. You were never meant to be caged by doubt. You were designed to create, to climb, to conquer. And none of that happens while standing still. So rise, move, do, let action lead, let courage follow, and let fear fall behind you where it belongs. Legacy is built in the now. Legacy is not something you leave, it is something you build while breathing. It is not reserved for the famous or the fortunate. It is not about marble statues or grand speeches. Legacy is about how you live today. It is not about being remembered someday. It is about living remembered now, in the hearts of those you touch, in the eyes of those you lead, in the choices you make, even when no one is watching. You might wonder, what can I really do that matters? The answer lies not in a single act, but in the pattern of your life. Every decision is a brick, every word a stone, every act a beam. Over time, those pieces come together to form a monument. The question is, what kind of monument are you building? Will yours be a fortress of excuses or a temple of courage? A pile of regrets or a tower of resilience? Imagine this. You see two builders at work. One rushes the process, eager to finish, cutting corners, ignoring the cracks. The other moves with care, laying each brick with intention, checking the level, reinforcing the structure. Years later, the difference becomes clear. One structure crumbles at the first storm. The other stands tall, unmoved, a refuge for others. What made the difference? Not the materials, not the tools, but the mindset, the discipline, the daily choices. So ask yourself, how do I show up when no one is watching? What habits am I building in the quiet hours? What example am I setting with the way I respond to frustration, to failure, to fatigue? Whether you lead 1 or 1,000, your impact begins in the private moments no one applauds. Legacy is not built in the spotlight. It is shaped in the shadows, in the hard conversations, in the early mornings and late nights, in the way you treat the unnoticed and the overlooked, in the promises you keep, especially to yourself, in the times you fall and rise again. You are already writing your legacy. It is not waiting for a grand gesture. It is unfolding in every sunrise. Each day is a fresh page. Each choice a sentence. Choose your words carefully. Choose your deeds with courage. Let them echo strength. The future will not ask what you hoped. It will reflect what you did. Hope is a seed. Action is the harvest. And if your present becomes your gift to tomorrow, then every challenge becomes sacred. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to demonstrate what you stand for. You do not need a stage to influence. You need conviction. You need character. You need consistency. People are watching even if you don't see them. Your children, your colleagues, your community. They read your life like a letter. What are you telling them? Legacy is not loud. It is lasting. It is not made of applause. It is made of alignment. When your actions match your values, when your words match your walk, when your heart leads and your hands follow. So live with intention, speak with truth, act with honor. Let your legacy be a mirror of your inner life, authentic, unwavering, real, not perfect, but powerful. The world may not remember every detail of what you did, but they will remember how you made them feel. They will remember your courage when fear was easier, your faith when doubt was louder, your perseverance when quitting would have been justified. Legacy is not found at the end of life. It is formed in the middle of it, in your choices, your voice, your presence, the way you rise, the way you serve, the way you love. And when your time has passed, your legacy will speak, not in stone, but in stories, not in monuments, but in minds, not in riches, but in the ripple you left behind. Build that ripple today. Start now and never stop. Setbacks reveal strength. The moments when life knocks you down are not there to break you. They are sent to reveal you. In those moments, something greater is being uncovered. Not your weakness, but your strength. You don't truly know your power until strength is the only thing left. And when that moment comes, when the world goes quiet and you're face to face with your pain, that is when your true self rises. Most people treat failure like a dead end. They think it marks the end of the road, the conclusion of their story. But failure is not a wall. It is a mirror. It doesn't stop you. It shows you. It reflects what you've been avoiding, what you've neglected to face. It shines a light on your excuses, your patterns, your fears. And yes, it can sting. But that sting is sacred, because within it lies the invitation to grow. Your reactions in failure define you, far more than your victories. Anyone can smile in success, but only the courageous learn to stand again in the dust of disappointment, when plans fall apart, when dreams collapse, when the applause stops. These are the proving grounds of character. Who are you without the crowd? Who are you when no one is watching? Imagine walking a trail. It seems familiar, safe, predictable, and then suddenly you slip into a ditch. You didn't see it coming. It wasn't marked. Now you have two choices. You can sit in the mud, blaming the path, cursing the rain, reliving every step that led you there, or you can stand up, brush yourself off, look back only to understand where the path changed, and then move forward with that wisdom. One choice leads to regret, the other leads to resilience. And resilience is not about having an unbreakable body. It is about having an unbreakable spirit. It is choosing to rise when comfort tells you to stay down. It is standing tall when no one else offers a hand. It is refusing to let failure define your identity. You may ask, but how many times must I rise? How many hits can a person take and still move forward? The answer is as many as it takes to stop being surprised that you can. The strength doesn't come before the battle. It is forged in the fire. Every time you get back up, you're not starting over. You're starting wiser. You're starting with more clarity, with a deeper understanding of yourself and your purpose. The greatest stories ever written, in history, in faith, in legends, are not tales of perfection. They are tales of persistence. Men and women who were knocked down again and again, but whose determination outlasted their defeat. What made them great wasn't the absence of failure, it was their response to it. You are writing your own story right now. And this chapter, the one you're living through, the hard one, the painful one, the confusing one, is not the end. It is a turning point, a rising point. So let go of the shame. Let go of the lie that you're behind or broken or unworthy. You are becoming wiser, stronger, sharper, more grounded, more aware. Your story is not about falling. It is about the person you become because you rose. And you will rise again. You were never meant to stay down. You were meant to stand, to build, to continue, because the fall was never meant to finish you. It was meant to forge you. Rise, your words shape your world. What you speak becomes what you see. Words are not decorations, they are blueprints. Every sentence you say, every belief you whisper to yourself lays the foundation for what becomes your life. Speak defeat, and your life bends toward despair. Speak faith, and your path begins to rise up to meet your steps. In the furnace of adversity, when the winds howl and progress feels stalled, your first and most vital weapon is not strength, money, or even strategy. It is your voice. Not to blame, not to beg, but to declare. Declare who you are, declare where you are going, declare what you will no longer tolerate. Let the world know, not by pleading, but by proclaiming. Words are not echoes of what is, they are seeds of what shall be. And just as a seed holds the image of the future tree, your words carry the shape of your destiny. Imagine standing in a garden you wish to grow every day. You water it. You pull weeds, but instead of speaking to the soil with belief, you curse it. You say, nothing grows here. This soil is useless. These seeds are a waste. Would the garden flourish, or would it shrink under the weight of your despair? The answer is obvious. No garden thrives under condemnation, and neither will your life. The tongue has the power to build or to break. You may not realize it, but what you repeatedly say becomes the lens through which you see. If you constantly say, I can't, you won't. If you constantly say, I never win, you won't. But if you begin to say, this will not break me, I am made for more, I will find a way, then your words begin to construct the road beneath your feet. You do not need perfect circumstances. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You need powerful words, words forged from clarity, certainty, and conviction. Begin each morning by speaking life into your being, not just vague hope, but deliberate certainty, not just wild dreams, but clear decisions. Say, today I will lead myself. Say, I am not my past. Say, my life is not over, it is just beginning. When fear shows up, don't negotiate with it. Speak against it. When doubt knocks, don't entertain it. Declare your truth louder. Silence the tongue of negativity and awaken the voice of destiny within you. Because what you say about yourself is far more important than what anyone else could ever say about you. Ask yourself, what have I been repeating to myself? Am I speaking as a creator or a critic? Have I spoken more fear than faith? Language is not just communication, it is construction. Every complaint chisels a brick out of your foundation. Every word of belief adds another stone to your fortress. Choose wisely. Speak like someone who is building a palace, not living in ruins. Your words are a prophecy in progress. They travel ahead of you, preparing the terrain. They can either clear your path or clutter it with debris. When you speak fear, you invite obstacles. When you speak faith, you summon breakthroughs. Stop speaking drought over your dreams. Stop calling your vision impossible. Stop saying, that's just the way I am. Instead, begin to say, I am growing. I am learning. I am becoming unshakable. Life will echo back to you the words you send out. So speak with intention. Declare your identity. Declare your future. Speak strength into your weakness, clarity into your confusion, victory into your battles. And if you must repeat anything, let it be truth. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are commanding your world to rise. The landscape changes when the language does. So open your mouth and build. Stillness is strength, not weakness. In a world that rushes, stillness feels like falling behind. The clock ticks, the world spins, and society praises the hustle as if noise equals progress. But that is a lie sold to the hurried and the harried. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is the foundation of all effective action. It is the place where clarity lives, where strength is rooted, and where direction is refined. You are not weak when you pause. You are wise. The person who races forward without a map may travel miles, but often in the wrong direction. The person who stops to study the stars, feel the wind, and examine the ground, they strike with precision, and every step matters. Busyness is not the same as progress. Motion is not the same as momentum. Stillness is the secret chamber of all great leaders, thinkers, and builders. It is in the silence that wisdom speaks. It is in the pause that purpose becomes visible. Think of a sculptor before the stone. They do not swing wildly at the marble, hoping greatness emerges by accident. No, they pause. They observe. They run their hands across the surface. They study the angles. And then, with calm certainty, they make their first cut. That is how greatness is shaped. Not through frenzy, but through focus. Stillness is not empty. It is full of information, insight, and intention. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were truly still? Not scrolling, not rushing, not performing, just present, just aware, just you. Have you been reacting to life or creating it? Most people live in reaction, to opinions, to trends, to noise. But the rare few stepped out of the storm, into silence, and listened. And from that listening comes clarity. And from that clarity comes direction. And from that direction comes power. Stillness is where you reset your internal compass. It's where you release tension, let go of emotional noise, and remember what matters. It is in the stillness where the whisper of truth can finally be heard. The one that says, you were not made to run without reason. You were made to move with meaning. In stillness, you remember who you are beyond the noise. You remember your values. You rediscover your vision. You learn that it is not the loudest thought that is the truest one, but the still, small voice beneath it all. If you want to act with power, first sit with purpose. Stillness is not inaction. It is the prelude to the right action. It is not weakness. It is preparation. The greatest athletes pause before the sprint. The wisest generals wait before the attack. The strongest trees are still as they grow. From silence comes clarity. From clarity comes conviction. And from conviction comes unstoppable momentum. This is not about meditation techniques or retreat centers. This is about your daily life. 5 minutes before the day begins, to breathe and ask, what matters most today? A short pause before a conversation to ask, what truth must I speak here? A sacred second before responding to anger, to ask, is this reaction worthy of me? Stillness is your strength, not your surrender. In a society that tells you to prove your worth with busyness, choosing stillness is an act of rebellion. And it is also an act of mastery, because the world will keep spinning, but you get to decide where you plant your feet. When you sit with intention, you begin to see what others miss. You begin to hear what others drown out. You begin to move with a rhythm that is your own, steady, strong, and unshakable. So do not fear the silence. Do not run from the pause. Step into it. Let it shape you. Let it show you. Let it center you. You were not made to be frantic. You were made to be focused. Let stillness become your superpower. Let silence teach you how to speak. Let reflection teach you where to strike. Then, and only then, will your actions carry the weight of purpose. The world may be rushing, but you are building. Every day is a choice between comfort and growth. You cannot walk both roads, comfort and growth. One feels good in the moment. The other feels right in the future. And each morning you must choose, not once, not twice, but daily. With every action, every decision, every excuse or push forward, you cast your vote. You decide who you are becoming. For no one drifts into greatness. It is climbed toward, inch by inch, choice by choice. Comfort is a tempting road. It wears the disguise of safety. It speaks in soft tones. It tells you that you can wait, that maybe next week, next year, next time, you'll be ready. It offers praise for doing the minimum. It shields you from rejection by asking you never to risk. It hugs you while quietly stealing your fire. Comfort is a slow surrender dressed as self-care. But growth whispers a different tune. It challenges, it beckons, it stirs something ancient and wild in your bones. It does not flatter, it demands. It doesn't care for your schedule or convenience. Growth throws you into the unknown and says, build wings on the way down. And yet, it is the very path that unlocks your hidden strength. For the muscles of the mind, spirit, and will are only forged through resistance. Imagine two fires. One burns hot and bright, thrilling to watch, but fleeting. It dazzles and dies. The other burns deep, steady, fed by patience and persistence. Growth is the second fire. It takes more to ignite, more to maintain, but it does not vanish. It sustains. It becomes a source of warmth for others. Comfort may light up your evening, but growth keeps you warm for a lifetime. You may say, but I don't feel ready. And you'd be right. No one does. Growth never feels like home at first. It feels like stretching, like failure, like uncertainty. But those very things are proof that you're not stuck. They are signs that you are moving, becoming, right. Comfort feels like control. Growth feels like courage. One keeps you safe, the other makes you strong. So ask yourself, where are you choosing ease over evolution? Are you doing what's familiar or what forges you into someone new? Are you reaching or reclining? Are you surviving or are you growing? Every breakthrough starts with a decision to do the uncomfortable thing, to face the hard conversation, to take the first step when the road is not clear, to show up without applause. You become strong not because it is easy, but because it is worth it. Discipline, grit, mastery, these are not gifts, they are earned, and their price is paid in sweat. The truth? Comfort will let you survive, but growth is how you thrive. Comfort keeps you where you are. Growth takes you where you're meant to be. Comfort speaks the language of fear. Growth speaks the language of faith. And every time you choose growth, you write a new chapter in your destiny. So today, dare more. Try again. Rise now. Say yes to the thing that makes your stomach flutter. Embrace the unfamiliar path. Let the discomfort refine you, not define you. Be the person who chose the climb over the couch, the one who picked the pain of purpose over the pleasure of passivity. For in the end, the comfort you sacrifice today becomes the greatness you carry tomorrow. Choose the stretch, choose the sweat, because your future is not built by your feelings, but by your choices. Choose growth. You are the root, not the fruit. People chase outcomes. They crave the finish line, the applause, the reward. But outcomes are the fruit, and no fruit grows without roots. You cannot demand the harvest without first tending to the soil. The world may praise what they see on the outside, but the strength of your life is always anchored in the unseen, the inner foundation. Most people obsess over results. They ask, what will I get? When will it come? Why haven't I succeeded yet? But these are the wrong questions. The right question is, who am I becoming? Because who you are is the root. Your beliefs, your discipline, your patience, your resilience, these feed the soil. These determine the fruit. You do not grow by chasing more. You grow by becoming more. And when you become more, the results cannot help but appear. You become magnetic to your goals, not by pursuing them blindly, but by preparing yourself inwardly. Imagine a tree yelling at its branches to bear fruit while ignoring its roots. It would be absurd. Yet this is what people do every day when they demand success without self-reflection, without discipline, without daily development. They water their image and neglect their integrity. They polish their profile and forget their purpose. The roots are invisible, quiet, slow growing, but they are everything. They are what allow the tree to stand tall in the storm. When the winds of failure blow, when doubt and delay test your spirit, it is not your ambition that holds you steady. It is your character. It is your commitment to growth in silence when no one is watching. Ask yourself each day, what have I done to feed the root? Did I study something that stretched my thinking? Did I train a skill that strengthens my path? Did I forgive someone who needed grace? Did I speak truth when silence would have been easier? These are not glamorous questions, but they are the ones that build a powerful life. You can skip many things in life, but you cannot skip the inner work. You cannot cheat the process. You cannot harvest a field you never sowed. The world may offer shortcuts, but nature never does. The law of the seed is absolute. What you plant, you will harvest, but only after you nurture, protect, and wait. Be more focused on who you're becoming than what you're achieving. Goals are necessary, yes, but they are not your identity. Titles fade, applause stops, trophies collect dust, but who you become in the process, that endures. That echoes in every room you walk into. That shapes your future long after the reward has passed. There is a kind of power that comes from a rooted life. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need approval. It walks with quiet confidence because it knows the work has been done in private. Rooted people don't just perform, they persevere. They don't just impress, they impact. So stop measuring your progress by the fruit alone. Measure it by your daily effort, your alignment, your self-honesty. Measure it by how often you show up, even when you feel unseen. Measure it by how deeply you are willing to grow beneath the surface. You don't grow by chasing more. You grow by becoming more. You grow when you face the hard truth, when you choose discipline over ease, when you say no to the distraction and yes to the direction, when you stop trying to look successful and start trying to be solid. And when the root is strong, the fruit follows, always. Not immediately, but inevitably, because life honors the person who honors the process. Your root is your responsibility. Feed it, protect it, grow it. Let others chase the fruit. You build the root. Progress is not always loud. Progress often whispers. It does not come with trumpets or headlines. It doesn't explode into your life with fanfare. More often, it arrives as a quiet nod, the decision to rise again, to try again, to stay committed one more day. In a world that glorifies instant success, this quiet form of progress is often overlooked, but it is the most powerful kind. We have been trained to expect fireworks. We think success is dramatic, a viral moment, a huge leap, a rousing applause. But real success? It is steady, it is faithful, it is boring to the impatient, and miraculous to the disciplined. Because the strongest structures are never built overnight. They rise one brick at a time. They are forged not in chaos, but in rhythm. Not in bursts of motivation, but in unshakable resolve. Imagine a person practicing scales on a piano. There is no stage, no clapping audience, just repetition, just focus, just an empty room and the will to become more. Each note is sharpening the fingers. Each hour is fine-tuning the hearing. The day will come when the music pours out effortlessly, but that day is bought by the 1,000 unseen days before it. Progress whispers, and only those with patience can hear it. Only those with vision can see it in the mundane. You may not feel stronger after one workout, wiser after one chapter, freer after one difficult conversation. But something inside you shifts. A layer is added. A thread is strengthened. These small, unseen victories are what make greatness inevitable. Ask yourself, am I discounting the slow gains? Am I judging the journey by today's lack of applause? Am I tempted to quit because no one else is watching? If you answer yes, you are not alone. But remember, applause is not a measure of worth. Visibility is not proof of value. What is built in the dark prepares you for the light. The real work is often unglamorous. It looks like studying when you're tired, like practicing kindness when you're frustrated, like saying no to shortcuts and yes to the long, narrow road. It is choosing alignment over approval, discipline over comfort, It is not flashy, but it is foundational. Each day you choose not to quit, you place another brick. Each act of effort, each repetition, each moment of persistence is forming the bridge to your future. And here's the truth. That bridge is either being built or broken with every decision. There is no neutral ground. You are either reinforcing your strength or reinforcing your excuses. You may not be where you want to be yet, but if you're moving, even slowly, you are not stuck. You are in process. You are under construction, and construction is messy before it is magnificent. So keep building, keep showing up, even when no one notices, especially then, because the day will come when the world sees the finished structure. They will call you lucky, gifted, blessed, but you will know it was the whisper of progress. The silent days of showing up, of pushing forward, of choosing not to quit, that made all the difference. You won't have to fake strength when that day comes. You'll already be it. You'll walk into your calling with the quiet confidence of someone who is trained in the shadows, who has earned every step. The spotlight is not the goal, the work is. The outcome is not the reward, the person you become is. And if you can learn to fall in love with the process, to honor the whisper of progress, you will never lose. So today, do the small thing with great care. Repeat the step that feels insignificant. Honor the habit that builds your foundation, because consistency compounds. And what begins as a whisper becomes the roar of success, brick by brick, step by step. Keep going. Progress is happening, even if you can't hear it yet. Doubt is the tax you pay for ambition. Every big dream comes with a toll. Doubt, it does not arrive alone. It rides alongside ambition, whispering questions and planting hesitation. The greater your vision, the louder this inner voice tends to get. But understand this, doubt is not your enemy. It is not a stop sign. It is a signal, a sign that you are doing something that matters. You might wonder, why do I feel fear every time I reach higher? Why does the leap towards something better feel so heavy? The answer lies in identity. You are moving beyond the limits of who you used to be, and your old self doesn't go quietly. Doubt screams when it sees you evolving. It yells because it fears irrelevance. It knows it cannot survive in the version of you that has grown stronger. Think of a bridge under construction. The ground trembles, the steel groans, bolts tighten under pressure, dust clouds rise, and there is noise all around. This isn't collapse. This is expansion. This is what it feels like when something new is being built. The same applies to your journey. That resistance is not a breakdown, it's the evidence of transformation. So what would you attempt if you stopped interpreting doubt as danger? What new step would you take if you saw fear not as a stoplight, but as a green light that says you're on the edge of growth? The truth is, doubt doesn't go away by waiting. It doesn't vanish by overthinking. You overcome doubt not by argument, but by action. You speak back to it with results. You quiet it with consistency. You diminish it with forward movement. You don't have to erase doubt. You just need to refuse to obey it. You need to walk beside it and keep going. Doubt can ride in the car, but it doesn't get to drive. So the next time doubt shows up, don't panic. Smile. It means you're moving. It means the old you is feeling the pressure of your expansion. It means you are standing at the threshold of something greater than you've known. Ask yourself this, what version of me does this dream require? What kind of faith, focus, and follow-through must I embody? Because it is not just about having a goal. It's about becoming the person who can carry that goal to completion. And in that becoming, doubt will surface. It will say, you aren't ready. But you can answer, I'm becoming ready. It will whisper, what if you fail? You can reply, then I will learn. Doubt thrives in silence, but it loses power when you confront it with truth. Remember, the future does not demand a perfect mindset. It asks for a committed one. You can stumble forward, you can sweat through the fear, you can bring your uncertainty along for the ride, as long as you don't stop. Every achiever, every leader, every visionary has battled doubt. But what separates the fulfilled from the frustrated is that the former chose to walk through the fear. They decided that the cost of regret was greater than the discomfort of risk. They saw doubt not as a verdict, but as a test. If doubt is present, it means the dream is real. If you're feeling resistance, it means you're pushing into new territory. Let that encourage you, not discourage you. Let it fuel you. Let it remind you that you're growing. The most powerful shift you can make is this. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of doubt? Ask, how can I move forward with it? Because when you choose to act, even while uncertain, you prove to yourself that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else matters more. So stand tall when doubt arrives. Thank it for showing up. Then outwork it. Outlast it. Because what lies on the other side is not just a result. It's a new you. In that version, they don't fear doubt. They use it as a compass. Teach the world how to treat you. Respect is not demanded, it is trained, not with force, but with frequency, not through volume, but through values. Every day, by the way you carry yourself, speak to yourself, and hold your line, you are training the world how to treat you. Your actions are instructions. Your standards are signals. What you tolerate, you invite. What you reinforce, you receive. People mirror the energy you bring. If you move with confidence, they respond in kind. If you carry yourself with dignity, they learn to approach you with consideration. But if you accept disrespect, even in small doses, the world assumes that is your level. This is not about arrogance. It is about alignment. When you respect yourself deeply, consistently, quietly, others must rise to meet that standard or remove themselves. Imagine a person walking into a room, shoulders back, head high, calm but firm. They don't demand attention. They don't chase validation. They are rooted in who they are. They speak when needed, listen when wise, and act when it counts. That presence sets a tone. It is not about being the loudest. It's about being the clearest. That is strength. That is leadership. Ask yourself, am I setting the tone of my life or letting others decide it for me? Do I begin my day with intention or react to everyone else's urgency? Have I made it clear through word and deed that my time matters? My voice carries weight and my values are not for sale. Respect starts within. If your internal dialogue is full of self-doubt, your outer world will reflect that. If you dismiss your own boundaries, others will too. You cannot expect others to value what you undervalue in yourself. Self-respect is not ego. It is self-alignment. It is walking your truth without apology. You don't have to argue for respect. You don't have to shout for it. You just have to show up clear, consistent, and committed. People learn from your repetition. They study how you respond when tested, how you speak when challenged, how you stand when pressed. That consistency builds reputation, and reputation over time commands respect without having to demand it. If life feels chaotic, if your boundaries are often broken, don't just look at what others are doing, look at what you've been allowing. Look at the times you said yes when you meant no, at the moments you stayed silent when your voice was needed, at the people you've let remain in your life out of fear, guilt, or comfort. The world treats you the way you treat yourself. You are the standard. You set the example, not once but daily. Not in grand gestures, but in small choices. Do you keep your promises to yourself? Do you show up on time for your own goals? Do you hold space for your own rest, your own needs, your own growth? When you do, you radiate a quiet authority, and that is the kind of power that earns respect without ever asking for it. Set the tone, speak with clarity, act with purpose. Hold your space not to intimidate, but to inspire, not to dominate, but to define. And the ones who are meant for your life, in work, in friendship, in love, will rise to meet that energy. The rest will fade. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about saying to the world, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I will no longer accept. So start today. Look in the mirror and remind yourself, you don't chase respect. You cultivate it. You reinforce it. You train it. Set the standard high. Then live it. The future is built by what you refuse to neglect. It's not what you do once that shapes your destiny. It's what you refuse to stop doing. The future does not belong to the impulsive or the erratic. It belongs to those who protect what matters, their habits, their values, their dreams, with quiet daily commitment. Success is not a flash. It is a flame kept alive through discipline. Neglect is a quiet thief. It does not announce its arrival with noise or chaos. It whispers. It says, just skip today. It promises you'll get back to it soon, but soon becomes someday. Someday becomes never. Momentum becomes regret. And when you finally look back, the path is overgrown, and the distance between who you are and who you were becoming feels unbearable. Think of a garden. Stop watering it for a day. No difference. Stop for a week, maybe still fine. But stop for a month, and the weeds win. They always do if left alone. Your dreams, your disciplines, your relationships, they are gardens. They require care, not once, not when convenient, but daily. Because neglect is not neutral. It rewrites your future, one ignored task at a time. Ask yourself, what small task have I let slide? What habit have I convinced myself can wait? What relationship have I stopped tending to? What talent have I ignored, hoping it will wait patiently for my return? These are not minor lapses, they are early warnings, and the wise listen to those whispers before they become shouts. Greatness does not require massive explosions of effort. It does not depend on bursts of motivation or streaks of brilliance. It is built slowly, consistently, quietly. One act of follow-through, one moment of choosing discipline over ease, one refusal to neglect what matters. You must protect your habits like a farmer protects his seed. You must treat your routines as sacred. You must guard your values like a watchman guards a gate, because every time you say, "Not today," you make it harder for tomorrow to begin. Discipline makes the future lighter. Neglect makes it heavier. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to recommit to the small, vital things you already know matter. Wake up with purpose. Honor your morning. Keep the promise you made to your health. Return that call. Reopen that book. Pick up that skill. These may seem small today, but they shape everything about your tomorrow. Consistency is the engine of transformation. Not drama, not passion alone. The person who wins in the end is not the one who had the most energy, but the one who kept showing up. Because every time you choose to show up, you place another brick on the path of your future. The cost of discipline is discomfort, but the cost of neglect is devastation. And the danger of neglect is that it feels harmless in the beginning, but that small break becomes a habit. That skipped step becomes a pattern. That delay becomes a lifestyle. So what must you return to today? What did you once care about deeply but have let drift away? What part of yourself are you waiting to feel ready to reclaim? Stop waiting. Start watering. Start pulling the weeds. Start feeding the soil. If you commit to the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. If you take care of today, tomorrow gains power. Because the reward of discipline is not just success. It is strength. It is self-trust. It is peace. You become someone who follows through, someone who does not abandon what matters. Neglect writes a slow death, not with loud failures, but with forgotten dreams. But discipline writes an everlasting reward. It may feel slow, it may feel unrecognized, but it leaves behind a legacy. It builds a life you can be proud of. So today, renew your vow to what matters. Don't chase intensity, chase consistency. Be the one who returns to the work, who refuses to let the weeds win. The world does not need more dramatic gestures. It needs more steady hands. Hands that build, that tend, that protect. Refuse to neglect the things that make you strong, and you will never be weak. You are the author of the next chapter. Whatever yesterday held, failure, heartbreak, confusion, it ended last night. When your eyes opened this morning, the page turned, a new chapter began, and in your hand sits the pen. You may not control everything that happens in life, but you are the author of your response. You are the one who writes the next line. It is easy to believe that your past defines you, that the broken moments, the missed chances, the words you wish you could take back have permanently marked your life. But let me remind you, though you cannot change the past, you can change the pattern, and that changes everything. You are not just a character in your story. You are the author. And authors revise, they evolve, they learn, they shift direction when the story calls for something greater. The page before may be marked with pain, but the page ahead is blank, unwritten, yours. Imagine someone staring at a half-finished manuscript. The earlier chapters are filled with mistakes, moments of weakness or loss, and yet They don't tear the book apart. They don't toss it away. They pick up the pen, breathe deep, and begin a new sentence. That could be you. Today is that moment. A comma, not a period. A turn, not a dead end. Ask yourself, what do I want the next chapter to sound like? Not in vague hopes, but in clear intentions. What will I create, choose, pursue, forgive, and overcome? What actions, small and strong, will honor the person I'm becoming? You are not bound by your former pages. They are part of your story, yes, but they are not the whole, and they are certainly not the end. Redemption is not reserved for the lucky. It is carved by the brave. It does not come by wishing things had been different. It comes by deciding things will be different. Your future is not written in the ink of your regret. It is written in the ink of your resolve. So how do you begin again? You begin by turning the page, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You forgive yourself. You release what you cannot fix. You take ownership of what you can. You replace guilt with growth. You trade shame for strategy. You stop asking, why did this happen to me, and start asking, what will I do with what happened? Every powerful story includes a pivot, a moment when the main character chooses courage over comfort, faith over fear, progress over paralysis. That moment could be now. That character could be you. Your past is not permission to stay small. It is preparation to rise strong. Every stumble taught you something. Every heartbreak refined you. Every failure revealed what truly matters. These are not stains on your story. They are underlines. They mark the moments that shaped your strength. Let others reread your old pages. You write new ones. You show up differently. You commit to the new paragraph, the better decision, the higher standard. Not for applause, but for alignment. Not to impress, but to transform. There is something powerful about deciding, saying, I don't know exactly how it ends, but I will no longer let the past hold the pen. That is how stories shift. That is how people rise. So today, write something new. It doesn't have to be perfect, just real, just honest, just forward. Refuse to let yesterday be your forever. Refuse to sit in a paused life. Turn the page, begin again, not because it's easy, not because you feel ready, but because your story deserves more than a rerun. It deserves a resurrection. It deserves a rise. And it begins with one line, one choice, one new sentence. Start writing. Don't let tough times steal your light. Hit play and discover the mindset that turns breakdowns into breakthroughs. This isn't about blind hope. It's about unshakable strength. Subscribe for more power-packed lessons that help you stay grounded, focused, and unbreakable no matter what life throws your way. Start your rise now.